Wholeness, everyone. Greetings. Another entry for We Meditate is here today. I'm your host, Ahmad Brown, aka Son of Pharaoh. First, I must say, welcome back. It has been a very long time since I have done Reminder to Self entries, and I'm glad to be here. One of the reasons why I had to make a departure or take a break was because I had to reconnect with core inspiration. Of those who do spiritual work, we know that it can be a trying time or a trying endeavor to continually be conscious in multiple realms or wear multiple hats of consciousness. Keeping it simple, it's hard to be human, getting up and going to work, paying bills, doing taxes, having relationships, all of those things, at the same time of contacting spirits, maintaining your astral body, keeping your mental focus together, dealing with shifts and changes in vibrations and portals and all kind of stuff. It can be very trying to stay on top of all of those things. And being true and honest to who I am, I had to take a break. And one of the reasons why I realized I had to take a break was I realized that energetically speaking, I was not getting or receiving, well, that's the same thing, getting or giving, the energy that was completely aligned with myself that would, in essence, empower me to contribute to the community the best way I can. Now, what I'm alluding to is about the principles of energy and how we must always be ready to receive and give energy so that we can continue on with the cycle of our life. Everything that we experience is energy. Everything is light. And this energy and this light that we have is all being directed and then manifested into physical form based on a unique combination of our feelings, thoughts, actions, and things of that nature. And so when we talk about the core of our feelings, the core of our inspiration, the core of our manifesting abilities, we then begin to explore the deep spiritual aspects of ourselves as well as the practical physicality of how we're maneuvering. And when we take a moment to step back to see the energies that we're giving and are receiving, we can then better know how it is we're supposed to move, or we can then better know if we're moving in the right direction. But the thing about knowing if we're moving in the right direction is, one, understanding who you are as a person, or me as a person, but also understanding what this world is, what this earth is, what this life is, how energy is simply supposed to move. And it becomes extremely problematic for someone who is quote unquote conscious or spiritual to deal with the true reality of events. Because honestly, everyone's miseducated. And I'm not saying this coming from a position that like I'm special and I know something that y'all don't know and, oh, look at me, I'm a magician or something. Like, it ain't none of that. Because honestly, when I was quote unquote sleep, like I had more money in my pocket. I had access to more women. I don't know, life wasn't quote unquote better, but my access to life, my ability to grab and get things was way higher than what it is now. Let me tell you. And that's a part of the reason though why, a lot of people never get into consciousness and spirituality. Because once you finally get into that, you have to take full responsibility over yourself. Like, full responsibility. You can't say some God is actually, like, helping you along the way. Like, you actually know that there ain't no God. That these are all vibrational frequencies that exist. And as long as you focus hard enough and stay in sync with whatever it is that you say you're going to manifest, those energies, those gods Those energies that aren't going anywhere will do the work for you. But people know this from a worship mentality, and they do this whole rewiring of the brain in order to get it. But it sucks because so many people are doing it, and because it has become the norm, that's what most people resort to. And because that's what most people resort to, just on a basic logistical, summation, a logistical summation, all of the energy that people need, that people will use, give in exchange, they exchange it within their religious constructs. They exchange it within the religious constructs, and by doing so, they give themselves a blueprint of the mind on how the world is, on what they think they are, how they think energy should work, and allow all of those things to permeate all of their physical experiences. And so, again, it becomes problematic for a quote-unquote spiritual person like myself, because the things that I try to share with the world, or share with you all, are nothing more than the things that I research over and over and over again to make sure that they're like true and undeniable, or at least things that can be brought up to question the norm without being ignored. Those are the things that directly challenge the establishment. Those are the things that directly challenge, the communities that have been built up. Those are the things that directly challenge a lot of the value systems that people use on a day-to-day basis. And so it becomes problematic, because how is a spiritual person like myself supposed to give and exchange energy with as many people as possible when the vast majority of people don't want to exchange energy with you? Now, I'm not saying this from a negative place, and I'm not saying this to continue like some pattern of, manifesting a lack of community, but just being reflective over this current state of events, where we are on this earth, what is really going on. We have to really come to grips with the fact that many of us don't actually want to be in full community with our brother and sister. And I'm saying that about my own self. There's certain things that I see in the world that I simply don't like. And being conscious, I know that those things are no more than a projection of my own consciousness. I'm the one inventing that situation in order for me to see it. And I know that that is nothing more than a clarion call for me to send love, healing energy to it, or at least question myself, say, well, why would I even want to see something so odd? And then just rest with that and just let it go. So almost every day, though, with that being said, I have to ask myself, why have I positioned myself in a place to be, not say singled out, but to be ignored almost? When I was doing Christian work, I could just type the easiest thing, Jesus is Lord, and next thing you know, I got 16, 20 likes, a conversation about it, all this other stuff. But when I drop deep metaphysics on what is really happening on the earth, deep spiritual metaphysics on what transports are going on between the moon and the sun and the astrology, things of that nature, like things that are actually taking place, like no one says anything. No one really goes in on that. Now, I'm not talking about every single community that I share things with, but the communities that I am most closely tied to, that are most closely tied to my history and my heritage, where I come from, nobody wants it. And it's just a really interesting conundrum to deal with those things, because seeing where we are in this world, it's almost like we want to double down on the division. Seeing where we are in this world, where every time someone comes up to do something great, someone right behind it comes and just F's it up. If globally speaking, everyone is like calling out this state of emergency on the black man, because they trying to shoot us all, dealing with relationships and things of that nature. Everyone wants to get married, but marriage is always influenced by economic vitality. No one wants to get married to a poor person. But people walk around still worrying about money and how they're going to find love, but they forget that like certain parties literally stole like trillions of dollars out of the economy. And so the ability to even economically position yourself to even quote unquote find love doesn't even exist anymore. I live in a city now where people work 50, 60 hours a week just to go live in one-room apartments that cost $1,700 a month. Like, I can go on and on and on and on and on and on about the weird state of affairs that we're in, where it just seems like all we do is double down on our hardship. All we do is double down on the need to acquire, or the need to affiliate ourselves with something divisive, or the need to run after and chase after a goal when I'm still trying to figure out what's the point. Like, what is the point sometimes with working so diligently and ridiculously hard at work just so we can get a paycheck and pay for our house and pay for all of that good stuff? Now, I'm not trying to minimize any of those things, but I'm just wondering how many of us are truly motivated to acquire, be great, be renowned, leave a legacy, all of that great, wonderful things that we talk about. How many of us are actually inspired to do those things simply because we're inspired to be great? Versus how many of us are worrying ourselves to death to be great when all we're doing is just responding to a cultural expectancy, or essentially a cultural myth that says, be great, leave a legacy, this, that, and the third, when really the core inspiration for why our culture said do all of those things was so that they can create a workforce. Like, and that's a part of the big conundrum with being a quote-unquote spiritual or conscious person, because when you really research, not just this country, any country, but when you really research the history of a country, the origins of why certain cultural constructs exist, the basis of things that people just go right along and use and operate with as the undergirding principles for why they even want to live. And then when you find out that some political party invented it like 40 years ago because they knew it was going to change the economic value of lining their own pockets, and then you see people going like drones, literally motivating their whole lives, stressing themselves out over it, it just makes you wonder, like, why won't you listen? Why do you choose to prefer to go run yourself into the ground over a cultural construct versus letting yourself be free and just live? It's so interesting because when you go and travel to other countries, I know a lot of people haven't because, just the economics are behind it, but being privileged enough to have done so, it's always weird and alarming to go to second and third world countries where there's no infrastructure or very little of it. There's hardly like the whole grocery stores and businesses and highways and, cars everywhere and shopping malls and all of that stuff, right? Like 2/3 of that stuff ain't there. These people, though, they just live. They're just alive. They just walk around and just do stuff. Like they're not worried. They may be worried. Everybody has worries. That's a part of the whole human construct. But all of the pain and heartache that I see, like on all of my social networking, all of the stress and the, oh my God, I don't think I can do it, or my job is killing me, and this, that, and the third about just trying so hard to be normal or trying so hard to be alive. When I'm just realizing, like, it don't got to be that way. It just doesn't. And it sucks because dealing with the work that I do, so many people are hurting. So many people are stressed out. So many people are like distraught. And the truth of the matter is, so many people are distraught over all of those things because of loneliness, money, and a lack of purpose, or a sense of a lack of purpose. And so, one second, y'all. Cleaning ladies over here doing her work. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not mad, but everybody's working. I can't even get mine done. We got to get interrupted by the cleaning lady. But that's a part of life, though. Nothing to get mad about. Just know everybody got to do what they need to do. So it still goes on to the larger point of what I'm trying to say here, is that why are we really working ourselves so damn hard? Why are we really doing all of the things that we're doing? And I just want to take a moment to ask all the viewers, do you realize you do not have to stress yourself so much? Do you realize that you don't got to kill yourself at your job? Do you realize that a lot of the pain, heartache, and strife that you feel to acquire and live whatever life it is you claim to live may not even be the life that you actually want? It might be the life that is the myth of the culture that we're living. It might be the life that is the myth of the religion that we've accepted. It might be the life or the myth that we've accepted from our parents and their expectations from us. And I ask all of those things because, especially now at my age, at the time of this video is being made, I'm a 32-year-old man. And as a 32-year-old man, I've been through ups and downs of life. And, you know, from my understanding of life, everybody goes through them. But even though everybody goes through them, it seems like an interesting confluence of awarenesses or events take place where we all end up having to choose how we're going to see the world. And what I mean is, the past 6 or 7 years of my life have been tumultuous, to say the least. Again, that whole before I was conscious, now I am conscious type of thing. And it's so interesting because my life has been struggled for the past, 6 or 7 years, primarily because of money. Like, that's really all it's been about. Due to the lack of money, I have made myself be more withdrawn in the ability to find love. I have been more withdrawn in my ability to step out on purpose. I have been withdrawn from appreciating myself fully. And I have done all of those things even being aware to the fact that the climate that I'm in has been created outside of my control. And one of the reasons why I've succumbed to it is because, again, I mess around and interact with people who are literally being squashed by this thing. People literally being emotionally destroyed by the onslaught of day-to-day living, where we think we gotta work to the bone. Now, I'm not saying do not work to the bone. I'm not saying do not be great. We have seen time and time again the virtues of those things. People who change the world work to the bone. I mean, they do. But one thing about these people who work to the bone is, again, the sense of purpose. They're only working to the bone because they know that that's what they gotta do. They know that that's who they are. They know that there's some greater overarching narrative that's taking place in their life, and they just simply need to stay in the flow. So working to the bone is the only way that they can do it. But everybody ain't supposed to be famous. Everybody ain't supposed to be rich. Everybody ain't supposed to have their name remembered. They're just not. And it's not because one person is greater or lesser than the other. It's just because some people came to come here and chill at the beach, and some people came to go sit in an office and stress all day. Last time I checked, when you go down to the Bahamas, that island ain't covered with Fortune 500 businesses. It's covered with beaches. It is people who live there. Like, they're born there and they live there. So that means when they came to Earth, they came to chill the fuck out. So what is the difference between some person born in a Caribbean country that just walks on the beach all day versus me or you or anyone else born in an industrialized country that gets pigeonholed into 30 to 50 hours a week? Like, how do we manage to get to this place? And so, again, that's why the whole purpose of We Meditate is even here. And it goes back to, again, why I realize that I got to double down on my focus. Why I have to double down on sharing, these moments like this when inspiration comes. Because one of the reasons why We Meditate hasn't posted videos on such a regular way is because I myself got caught up into this whole panache and this whole, making things look awesome and so serene and perfect. I stopped making videos not because I didn't want to talk no more, because I got tired of doing editing, because I was tired of putting it on a nice sheen. Like, I gotta make it look so perfect just so people will watch it. You know, like, who cares about the content? Who cares about how amazing and authentic it is? Who cares about how uplifting and caring it could be? But because I don't got the new 2017 graphics off of off of Photoshop, I can't get over 400 people to watch my videos. So you see, those are the type of things though that me and we as people have to detach from. We gotta break off of this, oh, I'll get more followers when I come to another level of excellence. Oh, I'll finally be happy when I acquire another level of excellence. Oh, I'll finally get when XYZ. And honestly, the truth of the matter is, whether if I can practice it or not, even though I know it, is that you just gotta max out wherever the fuck you are. You gotta be cool with who you are, where you are, and just be authentic and let it flow. And wherever it flows, if you see opportunities for it to blossom just as is, you simply take those opportunities. And we have to be responsive to the spiritual urges that are taking place. Because a lot of the times the things that have come to us, that are presented to us, if we're on a spiritual path, they may not necessarily be the things that we want. Like, they may not, again, present themselves with this shiny sheen, with this shiny package, with the way that's so agreeable for us to just jump on and immediately start making money. A random hip hop reference comes from the dude Charlemagne the God. He says, he said, there's opportunities that come before you that don't have a paycheck assigned to them, and you won't take them, and that's why you won't win. And I'm realizing, just as a whole, that's a life lesson, not just for jobs, not just for out here hustling in the streets, not just for out here trying to manifest a life. We have to realize that if we want something, we got to want it from within, not because we want to get something out of it. And that's the whole mentality. We're only going to win in life. We're only going to get married. We're only going to have a nice job. We're only going to have money in our pocket. We're only going to get X, Y, Z. Go to this, that, and the other place. Be able to acquire and live and be great when we realize that we are great on the inside. When we realize that whatever it is that we desire to have is already inside of us as a quality that needs to be given and taken and exchanged in community. And people who are on the spiritual path must be the arbiters of change to show as many people as possible that life is open for us all. And that if we open ourselves up energetically to what it is that we want and just let life give it to us without limits, without conditions, in time it'll come. And if we can stay poised enough to detach from the expectations of life and culture and family and all of that other stuff, life will give us exactly what we deserve. And that is the ultimate lesson.